If you're just starting with Blender and want to speed up your modeling, this video is for you. I will show you 10 simple tips that will make your workflow faster and easier, even if you're new to the software. Let's get started. One of the best ways to speed up your 3D modeling workflow in Blender is by learning the basic shortcuts early on. Trust me, this will save you a lot of time. For example, if you press G, you can move your object freely, but if you press G and then X, Y, or Z, you can move it along a specific axis. The same logic applies to other shortcuts. Press R to rotate, S to scale, and E to extrude when you are in edit mode. And again, any of these shortcuts that you press can be followed by a specific axis, X, Y, or Z. Another really useful shortcut is a scale along normals. Just press E to extrude, right-click to cancel the movement, and then Alt plus S to scale along the normals. Make sure to enable Keep Offset in the menu to keep the distance even. It is a great trick for extruding parts without messing up the shape. Another useful shortcut is Inset Faces. By pressing I on a face, you can inset new geometry proportionally. If you hold Ctrl while pressing I, you can move the inset face along its normals at the same time. If you press I twice, you can inset faces individually instead of keeping them connected. And if you want to insert a face without following the open edges of the mesh, just press B while using Inset. There is a very common shortcut for adding a subdivision surface modifier. Normally we add it manually, but when working with multiple objects, it is much faster to use the shortcut. Just press Ctrl 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 to automatically apply a subdivision surface with that level on the selected object, or even on multiple objects at once. There is another shortcut that it is a bit hidden. Normally when you add a modifier, it only applies to one object, but if you hold Alt while adding a modifier, it has applied to all selected objects at once. And if you keep holding Alt while changing any of its settings, changes will update across all of them too. If you added modifiers to one object and you want to copy them to others, press Ctrl plus L and choose Copy Modifiers. This will copy the modifiers to all of the other selected objects. Normally, when we want to apply the mirror modifier to an object, we first need to prepare it by cutting the faces where we want the mirror to apply. This takes time, and for more complex geometry with an efficient topology, it can be very time-consuming. To make this easier, we can use the Auto Mirror add-on, which comes built into Blender. If it is not enabled, you can get it from the official Blender add-ons page. With just a few clicks, we can automatically add a mirror modifier to any object without manually cutting it first. Another useful tool that can save you a lot of time is F2. You can enable it from the add-ons menu in Preferences, and if it is not there, you can download it from the official web page. It is very easy to use. Instead of filling by pressing F once and manually selecting the surrounding vertices, simply press F multiple times and it will quickly fill wherever there are available vertices. This useful tool can be used in multiple scenarios, as you can see here. There's a hidden tool that is really useful for cutting complex shapes perfectly, and it is called the Knife Project tool. For example, if you want to cut a perfect circle onto another object, instead of doing it by hand, you can use this tool. First, create a new circle above the object you want to cut. Then, in edit mode, hold Ctrl, select a circle in the right menu, go to Mesh and choose Knife Project. This will project a cut onto the object. After that, just delete the reference circle and you're done. If we have a model that we want to copy multiple times in our scene, we usually start by modeling it first and then copying it wherever we need. A common mistake is copying the finished object multiple times and then realizing that we need to edit this. That's when we find out we have to reposition it everywhere we copied it again. So next time you want to do this, it is better to use Alt+V instead of Shift+V. That way we will create an exact copy, but as a linked instance, meaning every time you edit one, all of them will be updated. This lets you place the object wherever you want and still only need to edit one to update them all. And then if you want to make them unique models, just go to Mesh, then Relations and choose Make Single User, then click Object and Data. Start simple, then add the details. Many times we begin modeling with super loops and modifiers like subdivision already applied. That is fine if you have experience, but for beginners I recommend starting with a simple base. Once the shape is clear, then add the details and modifiers. If you go too complex too early, making changes later can become very difficult. You can start with a low poly model to get a clear idea and gradually redefine it until you have a solid base. After that, you can add modifiers which will let you add support loops more easily without messing up the base mesh. These modifiers can seem a bit complex at first, but they are a powerful way to work in Blender and definitely worth learning early on. One of the most commonly used modifiers is bevel. You can use it as it comes by default, but personally I prefer using it in weight mode. This way you can apply the bevel only to the edges you want. Just press Ctrl E or go to the Edge panel, choose Edge Bevel Weight and set it to 1 using your keyboard. Another useful tip is do not apply your modifiers too early. It is common for beginners to add a bevel or subdivision surface modifier and then apply it right away to keep modeling on top. This can work if you have more experience, but for beginners it often creates problems. For example, if you later want to adjust the bevel of this cube, you won't be able to, and you might have to model it from scratch. If we keep our modifiers intact and stack them in the right order, we will have a full control to adjust them at any point during the modeling process. There are some limitations, of course, but with practice we will learn how to work around them and take advantage of this flexible workflow. A very useful tool is Vertex Slide. Normally, if you already have a loop, you can move it by pressing G, but if you press G twice, the loop will slide along its edge direction. And here's something even better. If you press G twice and then C, you can move the edges beyond the original limits, opening up more possibilities. Assign custom shortcuts to your favorite tools is one of Blender's best features. I often get asked how I cut rocks so quickly in my videos, and it is because I assigned the bisect tool to one of the side buttons of my mouse. To do this, just right-click any tool or function and choose Assign Shortcut. That way, it's always ready and super fast to access. The final tip of this video is a bit tricky, but trust me, you will be glad you know it when the time comes. Sometimes we work with models that aren't aligned perfectly to the global X, Y, or Z axis. That makes it hard to move, scale, or rotate certain faces properly. Even if we switch to normal orientation, it doesn't always help. In this case, Blender has a powerful feature. You can select a face, edge, or vertex and click the plus icon next to the orientation menu. This creates a custom orientation based on your selection, letting you transform things much more comfortably. It is something you won't use every day, but when you need it, it is a lifesaver. And that's all. I really hope these tips help you to model faster and smarter in Blender. If you learned something new today, consider supporting the channel by hitting the like button, leaving a comment, and subscribing for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.